Just figuring out here what screen to share. Hope everybody's doing well. Let's see here. There we go. We are going to be talking today about what not to include on your website. So this one was kind of fun to do, and I hope everybody finds it helpful. Before we get started, just so you know, when you come on, you're going to be muted. Feel free to just unmute yourself and speak up if you have any questions. Camilla will also keep an eye on the chat, so if you have any questions as we go along, feel free to drop them in the chat. And yeah, I think we can get started. Does everybody can see my screen here okay?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, great. All right. So first, before we dive into what not to include, I thought we should at least talk a little bit about what you should include on a website. So there's several elements that are very important to have on an effective website. These essential things are: it needs to work well on a phone, be mobile responsive. It needs to be secure. In other words, this little lock up here, that's the kind of thing that nobody notices, but if it's not there, then you notice it because it says, oh, it's not secure. So that's something that
how to prepare a website. This is on how to prepare a website.
Can you say that one more time? I think maybe he's not talking to me. I'm going to mute Frank, and then if he has a question, he'll unmute himself. Okay, and then it needs to be quick. It needs to load quickly. That means you don't want to have a lot of really, really large images and things that have to download. It should be ADA compliant, which I can show you what that looks like at the end if anybody's interested, but that really is just a feature of websites that allow users to kind of on the fly modify what they look like a little bit. So if you have some vision impairment or dyslexia, things like that, you can modify the site so that you can navigate it easier. And it needs to be easy to navigate. It needs to be well organized, and a lot of thought goes into that. So the home page, when you're thinking about your website, you should put yourself in the shoes of a prospective parent. So you think about what questions they have, and you need to answer those on the homepage. So, does the school have a program for my child? What is Montessori? Where are you located? All these questions should be right on the homepage. And you should think of your homepage, because over half of your visitors are going to be looking at your site on a phone. So you should definitely think about your homepage being a sort of like your navigation in visual format. So if someone's scrolling through your page on a phone, they can tap on a certain picture or graphic element and navigate your site that way somewhat too, rather than having to go up and get into the actual navigation menu. That's not so easy to do on a phone. Okay. And then content. So once you get past the home page, then you can, dive into what is Montessori, details about your programs. You should be compelling without being overwhelming. You don't want to have too much text. You want to be very clear about the steps, how to apply. Testimonials should be kind of throughout your site strategically, rather than one whole big page of testimonials. It's better to spread those out so that people run across them. For example, oh, I'm here looking at the primary program, and oh, this testimonial pops up that says, from a parent that says what a great program this was for their child. So that's much more impactful than, expecting a website visitor to go to a page called testimonials and reading through all of those. Photography. I can't emphasize enough how important great photography is for a website, because it can make or break a website. And we are so fortunate with Montessori in that our classrooms are beautiful, and it just lends itself really well to great photos. Okay, so any questions? I'm going to pause there for a second and see if there's any questions about that, what I just talked about kind of the important elements of a website.
Camille, Wally here.
Hi, Wally.
Now, with respect to the testimonials that you suggest that it should be interspersed in the various pages of the website, I mean, that makes sense. Now, if you have testimonials like a bunch of videos from parents, how would you, meaningfully put it in different pages and all that? I mean, what I can see, I can just put in like a quote, that's fine, but like something like a video, what would be the best way to deal with that?
Yeah, I think you can put video around your site too. I think that's fine to do. If you have a one that is it one long video of parents, or do you have several short ones?
Yeah, I mean, we have several videos, like short ones, not that long, but in a sense that when you go to, let's say, a page that says programs, right? So a page that describes the programs for Montessori. I mean, and then I want to put if I want to put a testimonial with a video, I don't know exactly what is the best way to do that, what would make sense. I mean, if it is just a quote from the parents, I can just put it in there, right, as we are talking about the content. But video is something I'm not sure.
Yeah, so this is our demo site here. So this is a page that's describing, it's our demo site, so it's not specific to any school, but it's basically describing what that program is. But here you see a testimonial, that probably would be best if it pertains specifically to that program, but you could just as easily have a video here.
I see.
It might look different. You wouldn't put a graphic behind it like this has this graphic, but and you might want to put a little text next to it that says something like, here how Jane Smith described her experience,
Right.
with a toddler program or something like that. So people who are interested are going to click on it and take the time to watch that video.
It could be basically on the page, at the bottom of the page, when it's scrolling down, then you can find the testimonial that way. That would probably not interfere with the rest of the page.
Correct. Yeah, this is right at the bottom of the page here.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, sure. Anything else? No. Okay, so there are several things. I look at a lot of websites in my job, and there are some things that just detract from a website, and that's what we're going to talk about here. So I'm going to talk about the top 10 things not to do on your Montessori school website. Number 10 is walls of text. People do not curl up with their computer to read about Montessori. They scan websites. Think about people reading your site on a phone. They're not going to read a 3-page article that looks just like this on a phone. So what you really want to do is limit the amount of text on your site, and you can still convey the information well, but break it up with text or with photos, graphics. You can see here, this is a lot of text here on this page, but it's broken up and it has, you know, titles here. I should bring up this, how it would look on a phone too, where you would see each title in large font, you know, with the text. This probably could even use some photos to break this up even a little bit more, but this really isn't too much, but I wouldn't do a whole lot more than this. So I see a lot of sites that just have a ton of text, and that's just not something that you want to have on a website. It's fine if you have information, if you wanted to provide information that's really something that really is more of like a paper, you know, like a white paper or an article, make a PDF and have it be a download, because then people will download it and maybe print it, and that's much more, you know, conducive for sitting down and reading a long article like this. Okay. Number 9, stock photography. There is some stock photography that's okay, and there's some that it just isn't. And to me, they just really stand out. And even though this is, for example, a lovely photo, it's obviously staged. It's obviously not a Montessori classroom. And so you really want to avoid that, because it detracts from the authenticity of your school. I would always consider hiring a professional photographer to spend a day at your school and capture those Montessori moments in your beautiful classrooms. That is something that will pay dividends for years. Great photography can make or break a website. I said that before. Just as a little plug for Nido, we are offering photography services now. So if you're interested in that at all, you know, follow up with me after today, and I'd be happy to tell you a little bit more about that. Okay. Number 8, small photos and photo montages. Now, this is not a school website. This is the Wayfair website, but this is bad even for Wayfair as far as I'm concerned. Where do you look? You know, it's just too distracting. There's too much going on. There are some, I've seen some school websites where they really just want to get everything up in the, you know, up on the homepage, but there's no hierarchy as to where your attention should go. So you're much better off just having one compelling image and really sticking with one, what we call a call to action, that is going to be the obvious action that you want the visitor to take. When your site looks like this, it's an assault on the eyes, and you don't really know where to go, and parents get confused. And this also pertains to just photos that are websites that have, well, ours doesn't, but if you have a slideshow going on your homepage, that can be really distracting too. I think it's more effective to just have a still image, pick one that's really great. And it doesn't mean you can't switch it out, you know, every month or switch to a different one. But when there's a slideshow going, it can be pretty distracting. And then also what you don't want to do is have it be a montage. So like a bunch of little photos here on the homepage. It's just not as, it's not as effective. And when you think about it too, on a phone, you know, it might look okay. I have a big monitor here, but like if I look on that on a phone and it's a, you know, maybe 8 images all together, it's just going to be too little to even see on a phone. So always think about that. Number 7, social links in the header. Now, I think even we have probably done this for some of our clients, or used to, but this is really something that, if you think about it, doesn't really make sense, because why invite your visitors to navigate away from your website first thing right at the top? So you can see here, I don't know how clearly you can see, but these are, social media icons linking off to, your Facebook page or your Instagram feed. And this is important to have on your page, but a better location to have it is in the footer. Let's see if we have one here on our demo site here. So down here. So they've already read through your page. They get a sense of who you are, and then maybe if they're interested, they can go link off here. But don't give them that option, right? When you finally got them to your website, you don't want them going off, getting lost on Facebook. Just an interesting note too, I know research has shown that people tend, when they look at a website, they look at the top, they scroll all the way down to the bottom and check out the footer, and then they go back up and read it. So footers are really important. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that too, but just because something is in the footer doesn't mean it doesn't get seen. It's pretty important. Does anybody have any questions about that? Just don't want to blab away without pausing here. Okay, number 6. Here we have a big footer. This actually is one of our clients here. So again, what not to include on your website. Information for current families. This might come as a surprise to a lot of people. And it's not that it shouldn't be on your site at all, but it shouldn't get top billing on your website, because the target audience for your website should be prospective families. It's really your one of your greatest marketing tools. So you don't want to have a lot of information on your homepage that's really for your current families. So internal school news, a calendar, things like that. While it's fine to have on your website, don't put that top and center on your homepage, because you can tell your current parents where to go look for these things. Again, here, link to the parent information in the footer. This whole blue area is the footer of this website. So you can see here, I don't know, it's pretty tiny, but we have parents and then a link for volunteering and the calendar. So just tell your parents, hey, these are the links, this is where to go to find this information, so that prospective parents don't get mired in all of the day-to-day activity information that you're trying to convey to your current parents. Okay. Number 5, having too many pages. Some schools want to just put everything on their website. Now, this is the University of Louisiana, so obviously it's a lot bigger than a Montessori school, but you can see this menu is just atrocious, really. There's so much here. And I've seen quite a few, even Montessori school websites, where they really just want to put so much information on their website that it becomes unwieldy. Again, you want to have it just be the essential information that is really pertinent for a prospective parent to make decisions about your school. So yeah, and additional information, just save it or have it in a different area so that it's not all kind of linking off your main menu. This is just too much to navigate. Who here likes pop-ups? Nobody likes pop-ups. So what you shouldn't have are too many pop-ups and have them come up too soon. So our recommendation, so the kind of frustrating thing for me about pop-ups is that they do work, and that's why you see them. If they didn't work, you wouldn't be seeing them on websites. So the idea here is have maybe one pop-up and have set up so that it waits several seconds before it appears. And then if someone dismisses it, don't let it come back up again. You can set it so that it says, okay, 1 per visit. Don't keep popping up, because that's just going to annoy your visitors. What do I have to say more about pop-ups? I think that the thing is, you don't want to have a pop-up that comes too soon, because people haven't even had a chance to read about who you are or what you're doing. All of a sudden the pop-up, and I think we've all experienced this, we go to a website and then it's like this pop-up about, do you want to read more about whatever? And you're like, I don't know yet. I haven't even had a chance to meet you and see what you're about. So wait, 10, 15, 20 seconds at least before you allow that pop-up to come up. Okay, so I see this a lot on websites. Schools tend to make it all about themselves, not completely, but your website really should be all about your benefits, all about them, and them are the families that you would like to serve. So what you want to focus on, I made this site, and just as a bad example, so here's the top of the site, which you'll see in the next slide, but here the first thing about us, and it's like, oh, we were founded then and we're accredited by X, and the school opened here, and our whole history, and we're the #1 school in the area, and we've got all these great ratings and all this stuff. And as a parent reading that, yeah, that's good, and that should be somewhere on your website, but you shouldn't lead with all of that. You should lead with, what do you offer that other schools don't offer? What Montessori is different, and you should capitalize on that and really explain what makes it special. Also, how will you make lives better? Those are the benefits of Montessori. Lead with that. Parents have a problem. Their problem is they're trying to find a school for their child. And your job is to solve that problem for that parent. At least the website's job is. And you really want to make it very clear and lead with that, because they want to know, how is this going to benefit me and my family? Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions about that? Okay. The other thing, we're down to the last 2 here, what not to include on your website is a vague homepage. So this was, again, a bad one that I put together just for this. Visitors should be able to figure out what you do within 5 seconds of looking at your homepage. So this is something to do after we're done here, is just go look at your homepage, put yourself in the shoes of a parent, and look at your homepage and say, do I understand what this school does? Or even if it is a school, sometimes it's not even obvious that it's a school, but you want to people scan websites. So you just really want to be super clear. For example, here's our demo site here. A Montessori school for children ages 3 months to 15 years. If you guys have heard me talk about websites at all, you've heard me say this a million times. You should just be really painfully obvious about who you are and what you do and what ages you serve, because you don't want to make people have to dig around and figure that out. They're going to lose their patience. They're going to go find the next one on that search results page and go to the next school on their list if they can't figure out who you are and what you do. So it's just really important to make that clear. I mean, what is this? Is it an art school? Is it what is this? So you just want to make sure that that you're just super clear. And finally, the #1 thing not to do on your Montessori school website is publish your tuition rates. So we talk a lot at Nido Marketing about using your website to gather contact information of prospective interested families and parents. And in order to do that, you need to be willing to offer something of value that they're going to perceive as valuable enough to give you their contact information in return for. And your tuition rates are going to be the number one piece of information that they will be willing to do that. So if you just publish your tuition rates, parents are going to just go visit that page. They're going to see what your tuition rates are, and they're going to leave. If it doesn't meet their expectations, or if it seems out of reach, or they're just making a note of it or whatever. And you are missing an opportunity to engage with those prospective parents. You are missing the opportunity to educate them about why the tuition is this number, what are the great benefits that your school offers, and follow up with them and continue to follow up with them and invite them to your next open house, and all of these things that come with being able to engage with them. You will be amazed. Anybody who has their tuition rates published now and then puts them behind a form. So that's how you would do that, is you would have a form set up to, I can show you here, tuition and fees. So here's a form, request tuition information. And what happens is when someone completes this form and clicks this button, then immediately you need to have some automation, some software that delivers that tuition information directly to their inbox, because you have their email right here. You can personalize that email because you have their name. So it'd be, hi Camille, thank you for requesting our tuition rates. Please find them attached to this email. And please let me know if you have any questions. And then a couple of days from now, if you haven't heard back from them, so they're still getting that tuition information right away. It's just that now you've got their information too. And so then if you don't hear from them in a couple of days, you can follow up with them and say, hey, thanks again for requesting our tuition rates. Do you have any questions? Let me tell you a little bit about our school. And then you can engage further depending on, how you want to set up your email communications. But this is just a really powerful way to build up that email list. And your email list is golden. It is it's free to email your email list. You own it. It's personal, dropping emails into someone's email box. It's so much more permanent than social media. You post on social media and, you don't know who sees that necessarily. Whereas when you're emailing, it drops right into their inbox. So anyway, I think I've drilled that one home, but that is really the one piece of information that you should not have on your website. And that's really what I have here. Does anybody have any questions? Again, effective websites, they're well organized. You need to pass that 5-second rule. In other words, people need to know what you do within 5 seconds. They need to work well on a phone. You need to have a super clear call to action. It's usually schedule a tour. And again, convey the culture of your school. And that's mostly through, well, it's the whole site. Is it have beautiful photography? Are the classrooms showcased well? Is it well organized? Is your follow-up well organized? All of this reflects back on your school and just gives you have that one chance to have a great first impression with your website. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I kind of got through that. I knew we would go fairly quickly today, but does anybody have any questions or comments or want want to like look at your website, we can kind of look through one and give some commentary if anybody's willing to do that.
I have a question, Camille, just to throw the first question out there. Going back to effective websites, what do you think are like the elements that you really should always have on your homepage? Like just looking at the homepage, what's kind of like the perfect formula there?
Yeah, sure. Really what you want is, again, you want to make sure that you have what ages you serve. That's really important to have. It's really important. I'd like to have a few elements or just about Montessori, you know, a few tidbits isn't the right word, just aspects of Montessori, because that's what's going to set you apart from other schools. And those things can, you know, just a sentence or two can then provide that, pique the interest so that people want to dig a little deeper. But you have to remember that a lot of parents coming to your website have no idea what Montessori is. So you kind of just want to make sure that you elucidate that like in an easy way. Then you also want to have, obviously it's great to have outline your programs. So, you know, maybe you've given the age range, but you want to say, okay, we have toddler, primary, elementary, and adolescent. And you really want to put those age ranges there too, because, you know, primary might mean something different. You know, someone might call it infant program Nido or CASA. We have so many different names, but you just really want to put those age ranges right there too. And then you want to have a very clear how to apply, a really simplified one. So schedule a tour, you know, submit an application, join the community, for example. You know, 1, 2, 3, it's not that simple, we all know, but this way it reiterates what that first step is. And to kind of go back to the top, you need a really clear call to action. So you decide one thing that you really want parents to do, and you make that the one obvious action to do on your homepage. So if it's schedule a tour, it's schedule a tour. If it's schedule a call, if it's contact us, whatever it is, repeat that too on your homepage. And then it's great to have testimonial too on your homepage. That's a really important thing to have too. Let me think if I've missed anything. I'm going to just check our demo site here to see if I've missed anything. No, that's, yeah. I'm going to share my screen again just to show, because I think that that's easier. People are always pictures with 1,000 words right here. So what ages you serve, one clear call to action, a few points about Montessori, your programs, and all of these should click through, like I said. So when you're on a phone, it can navigate from the page itself. Testimonials, encourage them again, that one main call to action. How to apply, again, what is that first step? It's reiterating that. A blog, there's so many great reasons to have a blog. And you should have, you know, maybe the last 3 or 4 articles on your homepage. We could do a whole, and I think we probably have a whole town hall about blogs, but that's a great thing to have on your homepage too. Google really likes it for search engine optimization. If you have a white paper or another lead generator, something, you can have that on your homepage too. If this could be in the form of a pop-up, or here it's just static on the page. And then the footer. The footer is really important. I talked about that too. It's an alternate place for navigation. People go here always for looking for where you are, your phone number, contact information, and again, those social links. This is what I was talking about before, the ADA compliance. So you know, you can see how it just changes it on the fly, and it's just a nice thing to have, make it accessible for everybody. How's that? That was a lot.
That was good.
Any other questions? Is anybody learning anything new here? I feel like we talk about this a lot. Just wondering if anybody has specific questions, or again, I'd be happy to bring up somebody's website and we can kind of look through it together.
Is everyone on Friday mode? I guess today is kind of like a Friday for those of you who have tomorrow off.
Yeah. Well, if I'm curious, maybe you can just drop in the chat, how many people have their tuition published on their website, available for everybody? Estelle says no. I would say even if you, okay. Rosine says you do. I think I remember you mentioning that because you're a bit less than others in your area. Is that, am I remembering that right? Oh, you're muted, Rosine, sorry.
Yeah, I used to think we were about $3,000. I think the last one we looked, we're about 5,000 less.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to do just a bit of catch up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would say if you're full with a waiting list, then you certainly can publish your tuition rates. I would say if you're not, and if you don't have access to automation, it's still better to not publish your tuition rates and just say, call us and then you can at least engage in a conversation and get some contact information that way. It's not as automatic. People might be more reluctant to pick up the phone than just fill out a form, but I think it's still better than publishing rates, unless, you know, in your situation, Rosine, where you're full and you're less. So CLMS, would you like, we can bring that up. Let's see. You said org, right? Okay. Well, this is one of our sites, so it's going to be really great. But this is lovely, right? And again, you have the elements. You have the one main call to action. Here's an example of the video right on the homepage, which is nice. And then testimonial, a little more information. So this is great, kind of just details about Montessori and how, you know, how you approach things. I remember this was tricky for us to do. Again, how to apply. Yep. Yeah, I mean, I would say that this is really great. I mean, I think that you could even think about maybe doing a little bit less on your homepage, but in general, I think it's great. You have a blog on Facebook. Okay. This is what you want to be wary of, is having, you know, sending people off your website when they're here too, a little bit. So anyway, okay, thank you for sharing that. That's good. All right. I think seems like we're kind of wrapping up. If anybody has any other comments or questions, happy to answer them.
Camille, is the ADA compliance a requirement these days, or is an option that is desired?
So it's actually technically a requirement, but I don't think that anybody's going to go after a Montessori school for not having it. It's if like the Nikes and the, you know, whoever, Chevrolet, oh, you know, the big corporations, if they don't have it, then they might get fined for it. There's actually, but I think it's a nice to have for Montessori schools. And, you know, I think it shows inclusion and, but it's, and technically, yes, you're supposed to have it, but like I said, I don't think anybody's going to come after you if you don't.
How big a deal is it to add ADA to an existing website?
I'm not aware of, you know, for our platform, we have the ability to add it quite easily. I haven't really, I think if you research, there's a couple of companies that provide that. One's called Audio Eye, and the other another one's called Userway. So I think if you go to their websites, because I know we can look into that for you too, Wally, because
Okay.
you're on WordPress, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm sure we could figure something out, but there is a fee involved to pay those companies to be able to use the little widget. So,
Sure.
yeah. All right. Well, if nobody has any other questions, I think we can probably wrap up and save everybody a little time here. We're a little early, but that's okay.
While we're here, I just want to say next week we'll be talking about visa sponsorship. That was meant to be this week, but our speaker wasn't available today. She'll be here next week to talk about that and walk you through kind of the visa sponsorship process if you're looking to hire guides from abroad. So that's, again, it's free. It's the same link to register. You don't have to re-register because this is a reoccurring meeting, but the link to register is already up, and I'll copy and paste that in the chat as well. If you want to invite a fellow Montessori leader who's maybe curious about visa sponsorship, like I said, it's a free and open online event, and it'll be the same time on the 21st. So we look forward to seeing you guys there. And if you have any requests for future topics for our town hall, you can contact me via email, or you can also post in our Facebook group. We have a Facebook group called Montessori Thrive, where we kind of always post updates on these town halls. So I put my email there as well. All right, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I'm excited about next week's town hall, and I think that we kind of scrambled a little to switch up our schedule a little bit for today, but I think it'll be really interesting and informative, and really a great opportunity to hear from a lawyer, immigration lawyer, without having to pay to hear from an immigration lawyer. So.
And Lisa was actually recommended to me by a Montessori school who worked with her for the visa sponsorship process. So she's worked with Montessori schools in the past. So she has a little bit of knowledge in the space. So hopefully it will be helpful. You will be able to ask her questions.
We at Adams Montessori School are currently sponsoring someone and working with an immigration attorney. It is expensive, but it'd be great if the Montessori community can come up with a job description that can be used throughout the Montessori schools. There isn't any out there, and so you have to create your own, and it'd be great if there was a template. So that I'll put out there.
A template for like different job roles within a Montessori school?
If you're sponsoring a teacher, you have to submit a job description when you
Okay.
apply for an H-1B. And most of the immigration attorneys have them for computer database companies and or management levels, but they really, and nursing, but they really don't have it for teaching. And also within teaching, which makes it hard for Montessori teachers, is the prevailing wage is much, much higher than what we pay our teachers, which makes sponsorship quite difficult. When I say higher, could be up to $20,000 higher, depending on how many years.
Mhm.
You mean teachers abroad make a lot more than teachers here?
No, they don't. So the United States, oh, that's me. The United States government sets a prevailing wage, whether it's for computer programming, whether it's for nursing and for management. So the prevailing wage for teachers, they base it on mostly public schools. So someone that has, I don't know, 12 years of experience, the minimum, and I'm sort of making this up, is like $82,000.
Gotcha.
So you have to look at it, because what you then have to do for the next 5 years that you employ this person, you have to be paying them at a prevailing wage. Because they do, the government can check. So
I can
yeah, it's
imagine
a
that
very,
costs a lot of, for all your other teachers in the school and everything.
yeah, and plus you're going to spend between
Yeah.
$20,000 and $30,000 for a sponsorship, depending. It could take many years, and the teacher, and you have to plan it carefully, because if the teacher then applies for the green card, they have to go back to their home country. I don't know if it's 3 months or 6 years. They also have to get a letter from the home country saying they're willing to give this person up as a teacher. So it's, you'll get a lot of that from the attorney there, but it is, I'm thrilled we're doing it, but boy, it's a lot.
That's a lot. It sounds like a lot.
Hopefully she'll have some strategies to make things a little bit
Yeah,
a little
and
bit more straightforward.
I will try to get on it next week. If I can. I'm kind of
Yeah.
out of the state, but I will certainly try to make that one. All right,
That'd be great.
awesome.
So when you say a job description, is there anything special about it for this purpose, or is it just a regular job description?
No, it sort of is. I'm just looking, because I do, let me just look it up really quickly. So the way we did ours, we broke it down by classroom instruction and management, and that represented 80% of what the person does. And then there was another 10% of classroom preparation, another 5% of family engagement, and another 5% of professional development. The percentages seem to have been important, because that's what they did for computer programming and management and whatnot. So I did break it down that way.
Okay.
And it was approved. We did get, well, she got the lottery, but we submitted that particular job description, so it was approved. But that piece is key, because they're very quick to toss things out.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, that's helpful. We can look into that and maybe try to come up with at least a template for how to structure a job
That's
description.
really important. So you can always reach out to me. I'm at Adams. Kari has my number and all that too. So,
Okay, yeah.
all right. Okay.
All right.
We, Camille, we sponsored a few teachers in the past. This is at least 10 years ago. But all of these teachers were actually within the US. They were not overseas. But then, I mean, we had to be sponsored to get the right visa for that. So that again, as was mentioned earlier, it is an expensive process. It's a lengthy process, but we have not tried to sponsor anybody who were not in states that are overseas. The problem is that if you're looking for somebody, timing wise and all that, the way, you know, the whole immigration process works and when they release the information and when you can, I mean, that takes a long time and it doesn't serve your purpose for what, in terms of time frame that you need. And that's the biggest problem. I mean, if you need somebody, let's say in 6 months from now, it's virtually impossible to go through and get this process started.
Yeah.
That is very, very true. And then again, it's that piece that the person has to go home, depending on which visa you're applying. It could be up to 3 to 6 months. So you have to kind of plan it when they go home.
For some reason, in our case, both 2 or 3 teachers that we had, they were in states. Of course, maybe if I don't recall, maybe the husbands were already, they had the right visa.
Yeah.
But neither of them had to go back to their home country and come back.
Okay.
I don't know the details.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Bridget asked here, was it easier to sponsor someone already in the country? Wally.
Relatively easier compared to, I mean, I have no experience in terms of getting somebody from Australia or Vietnam or New Zealand or someplace. I have no idea, but I'm pretty sure it's a lot more complicated than somebody, and it's particularly easier if the spouse of the one you're trying to sponsor maybe has already some sort of a work authorization, but the teacher does not have that, and like, for example, maybe the husband has H1B visa. But then you basically go ahead and sponsor this person for a green card, and then they get the green card and all that, and then so yeah, but regardless, I mean, this whole process is just so difficult that even for people within the US, that, I mean, we stopped doing it after 2 or 3 tries 10 years ago. We were successful in all cases, and we always work with a lawyer. Obviously, you can't do that on your own. And then we don't do that anymore.
Yeah. We're actually working, some of you probably know that we're very much a remote company. Everybody works from home, and we're all located all over the world. I'm in the US, but Camilla's in England, and our team is all over, and our CTO was actually based in Kiev, and he now has just recently made his way to Poland. So we're very thankful about that, but he's working now towards getting a visa to come to the States. So even Nido Marketing deals with this issue as well. So it'll be really interesting to hear from this lawyer next week. So anyway, kind of a little preview for next week there. So I'm sure it'll be a great conversation and hopefully a little more informative. But anyway, I really appreciate everybody who joined us today, and I hope it was helpful and maybe just put some ideas in your head about things for your website, and things that you might have thought were good to have that maybe are not. So again, if you have any questions, please feel free to follow up. And yeah, we'll look forward to seeing everybody next week. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Camille. Thank you.
Have a great day, everyone.